Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I'm back with another episode of the Shadow of the Demon Lord talk. And today is going to be a bit of a preview of my 50th episode. I plan on talking about the setting that I'm running this game in, and some of the things that I've done to prep for the session. So, as a reminder, I have up here on my screen that for my 50th episode, I'll be doing a live stream of a game, and I've managed to secure 4 victims to play in this game, and should be fun, should be interesting. I've never done a live stream before, so hopefully it'll turn out well. This is scheduled for June the 6th at 6 p.m. So 666, get it? So anyway, we've got this date and time lined up for the game. And I'm sitting here just kind of doing some last minute prep. I've pretty much gotten the game set up, doing some tweaking where it's not gonzo enough. I'm trying to ratchet it up to 11. So it should be fun. We'll see how it goes. But this will be again on June the 6th, so I hope to see a lot of you joining, and hopefully you'll see us having a lot of fun. So anyway, what is the game going to be about? Well, I've wanted for a while, and I've talked about this in my previous videos, but I've wanted for a while to do a campaign where we are a little bit further down on the timeline than Shadow of the Demon Lord starts us at. Now, Shadow of the Demon Lord, out of the box, the game assumes that you are starting in the year, if I could find it here in the book, 888 after founding, and that's the founding of the empire, of course. So the 888th year after the founding is when, a standard Shadow of the Demon Lord game, that's when the calendar begins. And the world is not in very bad shape, really. I mean, things are starting to crumble at the edges, but for the most part, it's still a fairly normal fantasy world. It's got nations that are existing, people that are living fairly normal lives, and, on the surface, it seems like a fairly normal place to live. Now, that's the surface, of course. If you lift up the covers, then you see all the roaches and bugs underneath, but at least it looks good on the surface. Ever since I got this game and started running it, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. When I first got the Kickstarter back in 2013 or 2014, the game was kind of, it was set up as a world in the midst of its final throes, in the midst of its apocalypse, and it's not really in the midst of its apocalypse. It's actually just beginning its apocalypse. So all the material that has come out since kind of supports the inevitable doom that is going to fall upon this world, but it's not there yet. And I think this is done purposefully so that we can progress the world to our own apocalypse using whatever Shadow of the Demon Lord we want to use, which is great. That's a good assumption. But in the back of my mind, I've always been thinking, well, I want to run a game that is actually in its apocalypse. I mean, well into its apocalypse. And so, I kind of came up with an idea that I refer to as my mega campaign, where I actually run a series of campaigns, and they're linked together, and they each progress the campaign timeline further into the world's apocalypse. And so far I have run, let's see, 1, 2, I'm on my third campaign with my home group, and then I ran a kind of a side campaign with an online group. And so I've done 3 official campaigns and then 1 kind of unofficial campaign. So the 3 campaigns I've done have kind of started to set up the pattern of events that is going to lead to the apocalypse. But I'm still, pretty much at the beginning. And I keep thinking, what's the world going to look like when we're actually further down the road and all these shadow events have occurred, and they've been stopped by various heroes to certain degrees, but each shadow event leaves a lasting impression on the world, or a lasting mark on the world. So what does that look like after, say, 100 years of these events happening? And so that's what I wanted to do a one-shot based off of. I wanted to kind of dip my toe into future Urth and see what the apocalypse looks like now. And the shadow that I wanted to use for this particular one-shot is one that I think is really damaging to the world and the environment. And there's several that are or can be, just depending on how far you and your players allow it to go. Sorry, I got to get comfortable here. But the one that I think is really just kind of an environmental, fuck the world up type of event is the Black Sun event. So just kind of looking at and this is Hunger in the Void, probably my favorite Demon Lord supplement, even though I can't ever remember the name of it. So Hunger in the Void has more details around each of the shadows that were presented in the core rulebook. And the shadow that is the Black Sun talks about when the Demon Lord shadow falls over the sun, it turns the disc black and plunges the world into an unending penumbra. The demonic radiance that shines through the haze warms Urth, causing each day to grow hotter than the last until the world becomes a lifeless cinder. So this is, like I said, very damaging to the world and to the environment and to the people and creatures that live in the world. So this is going to be a shadow that happens down the road. Like I said, like maybe 100 years down the road, or maybe 90 years down the road, or something like that. So what happens initially when you're doing the whole campaign, and I'll do a whole campaign based on this one particular shadow event, is that in the starting adventure, you got an unexpected eclipse that leaves astronomers baffled and filled with worry when it doesn't end. The illumination from the darkened sun casts everything in shadows. Then you have, at the novice level, or novice tier, Unnatural Heat. Not long after the Black Sun appears, temperatures begin to climb. Venturing outside during midday becomes an act of courage. Worse, the strange light blights crops and sickens animals. During the hottest times of the day, characters traveling in the open are subject to the effects of exposure. And that is detailed in the core rulebook on page 201. And then you get to the expert tier. The world begins to burn. Several months of punishing heat have taken their toll. Rivers and lakes dry up. Fields turn brown, and clouds of dust race across the landscape. Smoke from wildfires add to the inhospitable atmosphere. The risk of exposure starts in the morning and extends until the late afternoon. During the morning and afternoon, characters make challenge rolls to avoid the effects of exposure with 1 bane. And rolls made during the midday are made with 2 banes. Any character who takes a penalty to health from exposure is badly burned and blistered. So being outside is bad stuff, bad news. All right, so of course, horde radiation. But I'm not going to get into that piece of it because I'm actually going to run my one-shot during the expert tier. And so everything from the world burns on up will apply, but the horde radiation has not yet kicked in. So I actually had a bit of a preview or an exposure to exposure. I've had exposure to the Black Sun event when I actually had an opportunity to play in a Shadow of the Demon Lord game. An excellent DM by the name of Dwayne. He goes by D-Man in Discord. He ran me and a group of guys online through a Black Sun event, and it was pretty bad. The Black Sun is not something that you want to mess around with when you're outside. And Dwayne did a great job of painting a bleak, progressively bad landscape, and that always kind of stuck with me, and I always wanted to kind of do my own take on the Black Sun event. But like I said, this is not something that you can do and not expect it to leave a mark on your world. So I wanted to save it for a later campaign. But that doesn't stop me from doing a preview and a one-shot in this world of future Urth and the Apocalypse Now time frame. So I am doing this one-shot in that Black Sun era. And right now I'm trying to figure out, okay, so what does the world of Urth look like during this time frame? So my Black Sun event is going to actually progress more slowly than what it suggests here in the book. It says, after several months of punishing heat, the world burns begins to occur. I'm actually going to make it an event that stretches out over the course of a few years. And during the course of those years, the environment is just decimated. So what does that look like? And I started thinking, well, what are some examples that we currently have of worlds that have experienced an apocalypse, or that have a bad environmental situation going on? And I could think of two. Eberron had kind of like an apocalyptic event, but it was kind of contained within a specific area of the world. So it wasn't a worldwide event. It was just kind of a zone where the what was it called? The morning event occurred, and it just turned this zone into a horrible place. And thank you, McAfee. I appreciate that there's no viruses on my PC. Good to be virus free. So anyway, the Eberron was one example. And I actually looked at that example because that example, even though it's a contained area, within that area, there's a lot of weird shit that's happened due to that specific event that really screwed up the landscape, screwed up how magic works. And so I took a few notes out of that. And then I also looked at another D&D setting, which is, I think I have it. Do I have it over here still? Let me see, my friends. I have it in my... Nope, not there. Looking at my filing cabinet over here. And is it down here? No, it's not down here. All right. So I put it away somewhere, of course. And I don't remember where I put it. It might be, it's way over there. So anyway, I'm not going to go get it now. But it is the Dark Sun campaign setting. And I've always wanted to run a campaign for D&D in Dark Sun, but I've never actually done it. And there's been some reasons. The biggest reason is because I'm one of those guys that has to have the right maps and the right miniatures because I'm a maps and miniatures guy. I'm not a theater of the mind guy. I mean, I do theater of the mind where I need to, but for the most part, I'm a visual guy. I need visual representation. I need something my eyes can lock in on so that my brain can wrap around the concept that's being described to me. So I know there are other people like me out there, and I know that there are a lot of people that enjoy theater of the mind and can play just fine that way. I can't. Theater of the mind confuses me because I get some details, but and I form a vision in my head by picking up keywords. But if I'm not listening entirely, I may miss out on a few facts, and so there are gaps in the picture in my head. And then and those can be some key things that could come into play at some point during an encounter or whatever. And I've just noticed that anytime I've ever played Theater of the Mind, an exclusively Theater of the Mind game, I don't like it. It's not fun for me because I can't visualize as well as I would like. I know it's me because my brain works a very, like I said, I'm a very visual guy. So I need visual cues. I need something to look at. So it's just me. It's not a slight on any of the GMs that I've played with that run Theater of the Mind. It's just me. But I know there are people like me out there. So I try to run a very visual game because a very visual game doesn't hurt people that like the Theater of the Mind style. Just having a visual aid to complement the description is not something that is derogatory or negative in any way that I've ever been told or I've ever read. But excuse me, so I need visuals, and so for Dark Sun, I've not been able to really play it, at least not in an in-person table setting, because they don't produce Dark Sun miniatures, and Dark Sun is a very distinct look. You don't run around in plate armor in Dark Sun. Everybody is wearing minimal clothing, and they just have a very distinctive look based on the art that's been produced for Dark Sun. So I've always wanted to run it, never have, but the environment in Dark Sun is what I immediately visualized as an extended consequence of the Black Sun Shadow event. And so I wanted to kind of steal some of that from the Dark Sun setting and incorporate it into my Black Sun event. But in order to do that, the Black Sun event will have had to have been going on for an extended period of time to cause the environment to react in the way that it's been reacting. So let me just kind of give you a see if I can find it, a preview of the map that I've been building for my Black Sun rule is what I'm calling it. And so I took the original Continent of Rule map, this one, and I traced it to create the shape of the continent. And then I went back in and using the Procreate program or application on my iPad, I went in and kind of reskinned it so that it looks more like a blighted, dried up desert region than the green, fairly healthy appearance of the original map. And so you can see there's a pretty stark difference. There's lots of blue, lots of green in the normal world of Land of Rule in the year 888. But 100 years later, in the world of 988, we have the Black Sun rule. And the Black Sun rule is looking pretty bleak. There's no longer a lot of green here. You got a little bit still here in the central portion of rule. And of course, there's a region up here. And I actually need to correct this because I meant to do the Misty Wood or the Mist Woods. But I think I ended up tracing here the soldier forest. So I'm going to correct this. I'm going to get rid of that, and the mistwood is over here. Because Alfheim and the Summer Queen has protected her forest from the effects of the Black Sun. So that is going to be the really the only two places left on rule where there is still some life and some vegetation. Otherwise, the rest of the continent is just a bleak desert landscape, and actually, as you can see, the oceans have started to recede and dry up, leaving a kind of silt ocean, or sea of silt, as it's referred to in Dark Sun, on the shores of the actual continent. And so that's the bleak landscape that I've kind of painted out here. And also, being 100 years or so down the road, and I'm just throwing out 100 years. It could be 200, it could be 500. I'm not really sure. I'm satisfied with 100 years. I'll figure that out when I actually get to the to this campaign, and getting to the point where I'm actually running the whole thing. But I started thinking, okay, well, what else could have happened during this time frame? Trying to brainstorm, and there should be a lot of other impacts to the environment from the other shadow events that have occurred. Now, I haven't planned out all of the shadow events that have occurred, but I do want to include some of the following. So, like the Curse of the Beastmen, there's a lot of Beastmen that are out there, and that's because the Curse of the Beastmen happened at some point during this time frame. Dreams of the Dead God is actually the campaign that I'm running right now, and that is going to leave a lasting impression on the world, in that there are going to be parts of the world where the physics have really been kind of fucked up. There's going to be floating land masses and things like that. And as you can see, I've got some landmass floating here and here. That's not all of it. There's going to be a lot more. I just haven't drawn it on the map yet, because I wanted to get this map ready for my game. But there's going to be a lot more places in the world that's going to be messed up due to the lasting effects or the lingering effects of the Dreams of the Dead God shadow event. So let's see, Dreams of the Dead God. Let me go ahead and move this over here again. What else? The Fall of Civilization, of course, is happening. Famine and Drought is going to be happening concurrently with the Black Sun event, for obvious reasons. And then I wanted to include, what else? Blah, 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 blah. Perhaps Unruly Urth, where the Earth itself is starting to rebel against the things that are happening to it. Weird magic is going to be a thing, and I wanted to take advantage of weird magic to incorporate the cataclysmic magic supplement that I purchased on, or catastrophic magic supplement that I picked up on Drive-Thru RPG by RA Press. And I did a whole video on this a few videos back, and I love this magic system, and this is what I'm talking about. Catastrophic magic is a great magic system for Shadow the Demon Lord, and I wanted to use the weird magic shadow event to replace the existing magic system with this magic system. So that's something that will have happened. Maybe, I haven't decided on that yet. Just depending on whether my players want to play with this magic system. It may be a lot for a one shot. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant about it. So I'm still kind of on the border on this one. But anyway, so let's see what else. So those are some of the shadow events that have occurred. And then one other shadow event that I ran for my last campaign was the Mother of Monsters. And during that shadow event, which I created, the Mother of Monsters, she came out of some kind of hibernation, and she started producing or spawning what I'm referring to as gargantua, which are kaiju for the Shadow of the Demon Lord world. Because if you are sitting there thinking, the Shadow of the Demon Lord is perfect, but if it wasn't perfect, what would it be missing? And the obvious answer is kaiju. So giant monsters is something that needs to be in this world, and I rectified that small but significant error that Mr. Schwab did not incorporate into this game. So kaiju roam the world, roaming the world for about 100 years. So of course that's going to have a huge impact on civilization, and so kaiju are still a thing here. And so for this one shot, that is going to play a part in my game, and you'll see when I actually start the game how it plays a part. But a number of events have occurred that have left a lasting impression on the world. Another thing I wanted to incorporate is here at the beginning of the Hunger in the Void, and that is when shadow events begin to occur, the barrier between the void and reality begins to weaken, and that causes a number of things to happen. So one thing is ripples in reality. And as it says here, the genies created the world by uttering words of power. Without those words, reality will return to its natural state, a cosmic soup of unidentified matter. Time erodes the power of those spoken words, causing ripples to pass through reality, often manifesting as a brief distortion in light, easily passed off as a heat shimmer or a trick of the eye. A severe enough distortion can cause a small tear that becomes a void breach. These have happened at various times and places all across the cosmos. Fortunately, breaches created by reality ripples are short-lived and repair themselves. All right, so at the time that this shadow event is occurring, ripples in reality have become more common and lasting longer. And so all of these dark areas that I have riddled throughout the map, these are areas where there are ripples in reality that have almost become permanent, causing what I'm calling chaos storms and void breaches and things like that. So another thing that happens is failed hidden kingdoms. The fairies created hidden kingdoms by extending reality into the void, creating a pocket universe. Such realms are as blisters on the skin of reality. The boundary stretched thin to the point of fragility. So a lot of the hidden kingdoms no longer exist during this time frame because they basically, the magic that sustained them begins to fail. And those hidden kingdoms are ejected from their pocket dimensions and either destroyed or they are forcibly brought back into the material world here. Rampant corruption, blah, blah, blah. Dark magic, yeah. Blight in the world. Okay, so this is something significant. The Blight Effect would also represent these dark areas, and Blight Effects can be of varying areas of influence as marked by this chart here, and it can spawn these types of things occurring within the blighted area. So you can have shadows moving through, you can have void larvae mobs, or just void larvae, tiny demons or small demons, and medium demons or large demons, and of course you can have a huge demon toting around in those blighted areas. Different void breaches occur, allowing demons to flow through, kind of like as depicted here. And, this is kind of an area that looks like it's been blighted. So there's a lot of blights in my Black Sun world. And along with the blights come the void stains. Void stains are what's left behind when a breach kind of seals itself. And you can have an area of darkness, diminished magic, enhanced magic, void tar, warped reality, or whispers from the void. And all of those are described here as interesting things that can occur. Now, this is a lot, and I'm not going to be able to fit all of this stuff into a one shot. But this is the sort of stuff that is affecting the world that my one shot is occurring in. So I may try to include one or two of these things in here, but for the most part, this is just kind of background information. This will be featured prominently in the campaign that I run eventually, but for purposes of my one shot, I just wanted to give you an idea of what's happening in the world, why there's all these black spots, and what those represent, and what's going on that has made this an apocalyptic landscape. Okay, so where does that leave us? That leaves us with the actual. Actually, let me talk about a couple more things here on the map because I think they're kind of cool. So anyway, I wanted to take the big chasm that separates the nation of Tyr from the rest of the empire, and I wanted to just widen it to make it a huge hole in the Urth. And that is going to actually happen in the campaign I'm running today, or now, I should say, not today, which is the Dreams of the Dead Gods. So this huge chunk of land rips up from the Earth and begins to float over the world. And that is because of the weakness that this crevice represents. And so that is one feature. Another feature is the city of Lidge is also going to be on a floating landmass. But one thing I wanted to do for the city of Lidge is to represent that as a clockwork city. So, 100 years from now, at some point during that time frame, the clockwork have risen up against their human masters in Lidge. They have either slaughtered them or enslaved the humans, reversing the roles, and the clockwork have become the dominant population in the city of Lidge. They've actually created a clockwork city, so the city itself is a clockwork being, and the whole thing is floating on one of these land masses. So I love that idea, and I'm definitely incorporating that. That will actually happen prior to this shadow event. And the clockworks don't give a shit about the black sun. They're not affected by heat or by the radiation. So what do they care about the black sun? This isn't the Matrix, so they're not powered by the black sun, or by the normal sun. So they give not a fuck about that happening. And so they're living their happy existence on the floating clockwork city of Lidge. So that is actually another campaign that I want to run at some point. It's going to be the Rise of the Machines, and it's going to be the Clockwork Revolution. But I haven't decided when that's going to happen. It may be sooner rather than later, but I haven't decided yet. So anyway, those are a couple of interesting things. I also kind of moved the Tower Arcane. It's kind of migrated over into the Endless Steps over here. And I want to do something with the Endless Steps at some point, but I just haven't figured out what. But I digress. All right, so getting back to my one shot. That's what this is all about, man. So stay with it. Okay. I'm back. I'm focused. I am focused. All right, so here we go. Back to my one shot. So the one shot will be in this bleak landscape. Now it is going to. It's only probably going to be a 4-hour session, so I'm going to have to cram a lot into 4 hours. So I may have to what one of my players refers to as woot-de-doo. And whenever we woot-de-doo, that means we are hitting the fast forward button and fast forwarding through some of the boring aspects of a game, such as travel from here to there. Shopping for stuff. We just kind of woot-de-doo through all of that, and we get to the meaningful scenes in the movie that we are presenting here. And so I have several scenes already set up. I may actually have to pare them down because it may be too many scenes for my session, but we shall see. And so the One scene is going to take place in a city or a town that is the town of what I'm calling the town of Carcass. Now, I posted this on the Shadow of the Demon Lord Facebook page and also on some Discord um, channels and some of my other social media, because this is a piece of art that I had to create for my game. I actually started with the idea of doing a uh, of of creating this town that's situated inside the remains or the corpse of a fallen kaiju. And so this kaiju fell and died on this spot long ago, and his body is long since rotted away. And what people have realized is that the other kaiju, the other gargantua, is what I refer to them as in game. That's what the people of the world call them, gargantua. So the people of the world have realized that gargantua tend to avoid areas that have the remains of dead gargantua. And so, taking advantage of that, there have been some people that made a town inside the remains of this particular fallen gargantua. And as you can see, all that remains is a rib cage or part of a rib cage, some horns that are popping up out of the sand, some claws that are barely sticking out, and the skull. And so this is the town that is called Carcass because it is built within the carcass of a dead kaiju and or dead gargantua. And it's also kind of a joke off of the once fabled city of Caicrus that is now a city-state. And that's something I forgot to mention in my description of my blighted world of Black Sun Rule, is that most of these settlements are no longer in existence. The settlements that existed in 888 rule no longer exist in 988 rule. And that's because they were destroyed by natural disasters, by gargantua, or by other events. There's only a few that remain. And the few that remain I have here, I may add more or I may change these, but I already mentioned Lidge, I already mentioned Alfheim is going to be one. But Caicrus, of course, is going to still be around. But the cities that remain are going to be, like in Dark Sun, they're going to be city-states that are walled, and they're basically self-contained. So since the world is basically a blighted wasteland, the remnants of a civilization have had to congregate in the city-states and for protection, and because there's demand on resources, and out in the wilderness, or in the blighted wasteland, there's just not a whole lot of resources. So these city-states are where people have been kind of gathered for protection and for survival. So there's only a few city-states in the world of Caicrus, just like there are in the world of Dark Sun. So I haven't decided what the who rules Caicrus, but Caicrus is again just kind of an infamous place, and the town of Carcass is a free town that's just kind of making fun of Caicrus by making a play off of the world, or an anagram off of Caicrus into the word of Carcass, kind of an anagram. So, at any rate, Carcass is a settlement that will be visited in the game session, and so this is the map that I had to create because I did some internet searches. I'm a lazy guy; I don't want to have to do more work than I need to, but I had a very specific vision in mind for Carcass, and trying to find a painting that represented what I wanted it to represent. I just couldn't find it. I found one that was close, but it had a nice blue sunny sky with a nice yellow sun, and I didn't want to mess with somebody else's piece of artwork, so I figured, I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to draw my own and do a quick paint job. So that's what I did here, and so I've got the city of Carcass, or the town of Carcass, kind of quickly painted here, and this isn't my best work, but it'll do for the game that I want to run. So anyway, This is the Tana Carcass. This will feature in the adventure. And so what is the adventure going to entail? Well, I don't want to give away the plot because, some of my players may be watching this video before our actual game, so I don't want to spoil anything. But at some point, the game is going to give them a quest, and the quest is going to have something to do with curing the blight that the Black Sun is causing. And the characters become aware of a potential cure for the Black Sun, and they are asked to seek it out. And so that's what the adventure is going to circle around and focus on. And there'll be all kinds of the usual shenanigans as they try to seek out the way to save the world from the curse of the Black Sun. So that is what my one shot's going to be about. And like I said, it's going to be probably around 4 hours. I'm going to have a session 0 to prep my players probably in the next week and a half or so. And then hopefully we will be ready to do the live stream. Now, that's the other thing I'm worried about. I've never done a live stream. So there's a pretty big potential for technical errors on my part because, that's my thing. I cause technical errors. So, I could cause problems with the live stream or the recording, or there could be connectivity issues with some of my players. All those things are a possibility. So what this live stream may end up being is a big clusterfuck of me attempting to vomit up an entertaining experience for everybody that ends up being a stinking pile of crap. But you won't blame me for trying, because I will definitely give it my best to make it an entertaining video and to try to make it an enjoyable viewing experience. So at any rate, that is my preview of the Curse of the Black Sun and the apocalyptic future, a glimpse into the apocalyptic future of the Shadow of the Demon Lord after several shadow events have had its way or have had their way with the world. So with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap this video up and start prepping or continue prepping this game for my next session. And my next session is going to be on June the 6th. Once again, if I can get my splash page up here, June the 6th at 6 p.m. That's a Sunday night at 6 p.m. Central Time. And I have the link to the live stream down here. So I hope that you all can watch live. If not, it'll be recorded and it will be played as my 50th video for my Shadow of the Demon Lord Talk series. So with that, I will leave you all, my fellow cultists, to ponder these horrible truths that I have shared with you. I would ask that you all give me a will challenge roll now with 5 Banes. And if you fail, I need for you to take 1d6 insanity points as a result of watching this video. And if you think that's bad, imagine what you're going to get after my live stream. So with that, I'm out of here. Have a good rest of your weekend. This is Saturday, so have a good rest of your weekend, and I will catch up with you next time. Out of here.